I'm going to do it in standard tuning like I was saying. That way you can play this without worrying about having a baritone or detuning your guitar. And 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 3 4. All right, Josh here, Broadcast Guitar has begun. This week we're looking at Hospital by Madison Cunningham. Hot topics on Hospital by Madison Cunningham. B major with a flat 7, aka the Mixolydian scale, though she doesn't only use chords made out of the notes in the Mixolydian scale. Like a lot of good songs and a lot of good food, it's a hybrid of ingredients. Let's see what else. For some ear training, I'm hearing a little Elton John connection. I will explain. Let's see. When it gets to the C sharp 7 over G sharp, why? Why is that G sharp put in the lowest spot? We'll talk about it. Good chance to understand inversions and when to use them and why. And then lastly, how to find and work in the melody into those chords. I always find that really helps me, understand the song on a deeper level and just kind of make the guitar come to life. I'll play with the track for this one. And I didn't get like all the little, she puts these like little variations in there in this verse. I just kind of gave you guys like one of them. There is a tab for this on the Patreon. Let me play with it for a sec. One and 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1. Underneath, it's B to E. A, G sharp minor. And 4 and 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, just get a little piece of it there. We can talk about the bridge too when we get into that, but just to give you a sample, there's how I'm thinking about Hospital by Madison Cunningham. It's in the key of B, so let's map out the B scale just to kind of start there. That's a good place to think about it. And I always kind of tell you guys, we use the song not only because it's cool and you want to be learning songs, but I want to kind of show you guys like how I think about it, where I pull up the song and I didn't watch a video for this one. I just start plunking, and I want to use the theory to show you kind of where I'm starting and then how I think about it to like figure it out as we go. Hopefully this makes some sense. But it's in the key of B. So let me give you a whole step, half, whole step, half. We'll go major just to clarify. That's the major scale, B. Whole step to C sharp, whole step to D sharp, half step to E, whole step to F sharp, whole step to G sharp, whole step to A sharp, half step to B. Now, right off the bat, maybe let's put some numbers there. These are major and minor chords. Uppercase would be major, lowercase Roman numeral would be minor. Let me write that right. And we're back to the 1. So you're going to see some of that. Underneath, like the verse is B to E, essentially. And then there's a little turnaround. But B to E, as you can see, is just a 1 to a 4. Even though there's some cool riffage happening, just a B chord to an E chord, 1 to 4, 1, 4. Then the turnaround goes like this. C sharp minor to A to G sharp minor. So if you look here, we could put little M's to indicate which ones of these are minor. But you can already see there's one chord that's not normally in B major. It's that A. That is called the flat 7. That is the characteristic of the Mixolydian mode. We'll put the word mode. So that's why I said it's kind of a mixture of things. It's not just Mixolydian, because if you just played the Mixolydian scale, if you flatted that A every time, you would have an F sharp minor. And we're not seeing that in this song. She plays F sharp major. So I'm just thinking of it as in B major with the occasional rock and roll chord, the flat 7. So let's look at that. I already analyzed that right there. The A is a flat 7. Look above, the C sharp minor is a minor 2. And then when she gets that G sharp minor, it's a minor 6. So the verse goes 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, flat 7, minor 6. That's your verse. Then the chorus goes C sharp minor, F sharp, B, E. Does that 3 times. I'll put a repeat sign. And then the turnaround goes B, A, C sharp 7, essentially. So that C sharp 7, that's a type of major chord. It's not a C sharp minor above. This is another altered chord or borrowed chord. Get rid of that. So if I analyze this, you could see this would be like a minor 2 right there. This would be a 5. There's the 1. There's the 4. And then that way she gets out of the chorus would be 1, flat 7, and then I would call this a 2, 7. Uppercase 2 to indicate that it's major, and then you just put the 7 to indicate dominant 7. I think that's probably enough theory for one moment. Because there is a bridge. I guess maybe the last thing I'll say, just so I don't have the whiteboard up too much, but basically the bridge is just a lot of this. Just a lot of stuff happening over a G sharp minor. She's just moving one note up and down to kind of create some tension. All right, so now, make sure I got my thoughts here. We looked at B major with a flat 7, so let's just spend a minute there before we start picking apart the song. I'll zoom in for you. So the B scale, let's first play B major. B, right there. C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. That's B major. I'll hit it one more time. B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B. However, that A sharp, a little too somber for this kind of mood. So she, a lot of times, is hitting A natural. That's your B Mixolydian, which would mean open A is fair game. So watch this. B, here's B Mixolydian. We're only altering one note. We're turning that 7th note into a flat 7. A sharp turns to A. As a scale, you're not going to hear a huge difference, but once you start playing with it, it has a different feel. So B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A natural, B. Let me just play it a little bit so you can kind of get a feel for like, right there, it just sounds a little more rock and roll to have that flat 7, the A to a B. Maybe I'll play it a little bit more just so you can get a feel for it. So I reach for that A natural, there's a B, reaching for that A. Okay, that's the sound of B Mixolydian. So now look at the riff she plays. She goes, and again, I'm doing it in standard tuning, even though if you listen to the record, you're gonna hear a really deep, low B because she's playing on a different type of guitar that has a different tuning. But here's B, here's how I would do it. B, D sharp, so see right there, B major. And then she pulls that B off to an A. And then the F sharp pulls off to E. So you can really see the B Mixolydian qualities there. If you're into your modes, that's what that is. B, D sharp, which means it's major, and then that A right there, flat 7, F is the 5, E is the 4. Which is ultimately where she's headed. Because as I said, level 1 is just a B to an E. Da, 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 down. and so on. And then the little turnaround, C sharp minor, there's your minor 2 in the key of B. Then it goes to A, that's your flat 7, and then G sharp minor. She also might be playing a G sharp minor 7, which would be like that. Very subtle, but just kind of smooths it out a little bit. Makes it a little less, I don't know what the word, I almost want to say a little less minor, but that makes sense to me. So she's going minor 2. Like, you know, we're in standard tuning, so the guitar sounds thinner than what she's got going on. There's something very cool about how deep and low these strings sound. But when I said I'll show you how to kind of make it a little swampier, listen to this. So even though she just hits that low B once and just lets it ring, it sounds great. Maybe you want to fill up a little space by, again, here's why we do that warm up where we find all the B notes we did for this song, because I sometimes like to go. And it's like guitar players do this all the time, where you hit the same note in 2 different places just to give yourself that like slide to create a little chaos. So what I'm doing there is I'm hitting B, B, and then I do that. And it's like purposefully hard to do because it sounds kind of chaotic. B, B, D sharp. Just a way to kind of emulate that swampy sound. Just want to talk about that. And then we got to get to this chorus, which leads us to hot topic number 2, the Elton John connection, ear training. Don't worry, I'll make it make sense. But when I talk about ear training, I also say I'm just someone who is always learning songs. If I hear something I like, I just can't help but pick up the guitar and try to plunk around and figure it out. And so what I was going to say is I encourage you to do the same thing, which is even as you're learning music theory and how to solo and improvise, never hurts to be learning your favorite songs, because you will start to compound them. You'll be like, I've heard this somewhere. I've heard that little change somewhere, and you'll find it much faster. So as I was listening to the song, I was like, kind of sounds like the beginning of the chorus kind of sounds like the opening of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John, which has a minor 2 to a 5 to a 1 da, 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 to the 4. So listen to this. Da, 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 da. Then the 1 to the 4. That's all he does in that song. But to me, when I heard it, I was like, wait, I've heard this. That's minor 2, 5, 1, 4. So, and again, that's just another way to help me, like as I'm playing the song, or if you're in a band and you've got a set list and you're like, this is a lot to remember. On some level, I think if I was playing this song in a band, I'd be like, I remember the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road part is how you start the chorus. Hey, Josh from Broadcast Guitar here. Hope you've been digging these videos. This is just the tip of the iceberg. If you'd like to access the full-length lessons, get the handwritten tabs, or better yet, participate in my live weekly classes, Q&A sessions, and special guest interviews, head on over to Broadcast Guitar's Patreon and start your free trial today. I look forward to working on some music with you.